Hello, good day everyone. I am Roslyn A. Dinapol together with Jem Antigue, Bordo Chini, and Jennifer Opoya. And we are here to discuss about phonetics. What is phonetics? Phonetics is the study of sounds production. It deals with the sounds of the spoken language, how speech sounds are made, how they are classified, how they are combined with each other, how they are interact with each other when combined, and how they are perceived. Phonetics also a concern with describing the speech sounds that occur in the languages of the world. The study of speech sounds is further divided into the study of sound articulation, sound transmissions or sound waves, and sound perception. Articulatory or the production of speech sound. Articulatory phonetics is interested in the movement of various parts of the vocal tract during speech. The vocal tract is the passages above the larynx when air passes in the production of speech. Next is the acoustic or the transmission of speech sounds through the air. Acoustic phonetics is the study of sound waves made by the human vocal organs for communication and how the sounds are transmitted. The sound travels through the speaker's mouth through the air to the hearer's ear, through the form of the vibration in the air. Acoustic phonetics also looks at how articulatory and auditory phonetics link to the acoustic properties. Next is the auditory, or the perception of sounds. So, this is how we perceive the hear sounds and how the ear, brain, and auditory nerve perceive the sound. This branch deals with the physiological processes involved in the reception of the speech. So here are the principal parts of the upper surface of the vocal tract of speech organs. So next are the descriptions of the each parts of the speech organs. First is the alveolar ridge, a small protuberance just behind the upper teeth that you can feel with the tip of the tongue. Hard palate, the front part of the roof of the mouth which is formed by the bony structure. Velum or soft palate, the soft, movable part of the palate at the back of the mouth. Nasal cavity, it is the internal nose area. Oral cavity, the area consists of the vocal cavity or between the lips and the cheeks and mouth cavity. Glottis, the space between the vocal cords. Last is vocal cords, in which it composed of twin involvings, mucous membrane stretched horizontally across the larynx. They vibrate modulating the flow of air being expelled by the lungs during phonation. Next are the segmental sounds, consonants, vowels, and diphthongs. When we say consonants, it is formed when the airstream is restricted at the some points between the vocal cords and the lips. Vowels produce with a relatively free flow of air, and diphthongs combine vowel sounds. In most languages, speech sounds which are produced by human speech organs are classified into vowel and consonant. Vowel sounds are normally further classified based on the position of the tongue, high, mid, low, or the position of mandible, open, close, the part of the tongue, front, central, back, and the shape of the lips, rounded, unrounded. Next are the vowel sounds, rounding of lips, Tagalog, u, respectively are rounded vowels, while e is unrounded. Height, which refers to the widening of narrowing of the mouth. Vowels are classified as high, mid, or low. High vowels such as Tagalog and English, I and U, are also referred to as closed vowels, while low vowels such as like A in English, SPA, and Tagalog tatay are called open vowels. Frontness or backness, wherein the body of the tongue is placed towards the front of the mouth or towards the back. Vowels are classified as front like I, central like the English SWA, E, adept E, and pakbet, and back like U. So here are the sample of vowels and where symbols appear in pairs. The one to the right represents a rounded vowel. Diphthongs is a sequence of two sounds, a vowel and a glide. The diphthongs in Cebuano are aw in sabaw or asuk, aj in bahay or house, and uj or cj in baboy or a pig. Suprasegmentals. The phonetic properties above the level of individual sounds, otherwise known as segments. These include the syllable, stress, tone, and intonation. Next is a syllable. Is defined as linguistic groupings of segments that consist of a nucleus or a peak, an onset, or a coda. When we say nucleus in syllable, it is the most prominent part of a syllable. Next is the onset, are the consonants preceding the nucleus, while coda are the consonants following the nucleus. So the most important common syllable pattern in Philippine languages are CV, or also called open syllable, and CVC, also referred to as closed syllable. Stress can be defined as the relative prominence of different syllables in a word. It is characterized by duration or length, frequency or pitch, and intensity or loudness. It can either be primary stress or secondary stress. Tone is characterized by fundamental frequency or pitch rather than stress. Tones languages includes Mandarin, Cantonese, Thai, Vietnamese in Southeast Asia, and many more. Intonation refers to the changes in fundamental frequency that occur in a phrase or utterance. Changes in intonation can be different meaning as in the case of declarative and interrogative sentences.
Let's proceed to the consonant sounds. So, consonant sounds are classified based on the first is the place of articulation. Is the place in the mouth where the sound is produced or where there is the most contact or near contact of articulation. And next is based on the manner of articulation. It used to classify sounds by how they are produced and also for the voicing, if voice or voiceless. So let's talk about first the voicing. So when we say voice, so sounds which are made with vocal fold vibration, and when we say voiceless, so the sounds made without vocal fold vibration. Articulation, so in voiceless, so when the vocal folds are spread apart, so the air from the lungs passes between them without obstruction. And the sounds produced in this way are described as voiceless. Sounds such as so S and F is the example of are the examples of voiceless letters. For the voice, so when the vocal folds are drawn together, the air from the lungs separately pushes them apart as it passes through, creating a vibration effect. So sounds produced in this way are described as voice. Example are Z, Z, or V, V. So Z and V are the example of voice letter. In order to hear the difference between a voice and a voiceless sound, try saying along with V sound, which we will symbolize this as V, V. So now compare it with a long F sound, F, saying each of them alternatively. F, V, F, V. So you can feel the vibration of your lips. So both of those sounds are formed in the same way in the mouth. So the difference between them is that V is voice, but F is voiceless. Okay, so now let's proceed to the place of articulation. So the point where a sound is produced is referred to as its place of articulation. So symbols are enclosed with square brackets. So the place of articulation, number one is the bilabial. So when we see from the word bilabial, so it involves with your lip or labial, no? So the lower and the upper lips approach or touch each other. So in the sounds of letter so you see your upper lips and your lower lips touches with each other. And next is these are sounds formed using both upper and lower lips. No, the initial sounds in these words are pat, pat, bat, bat, way, mat, mat. So those words are all bilabials. So they are represented by the symbols P, B, M, and W. Next is the labiodental. So from the words dental, so it involves with your teeth. So the lower lip approaches or touches the upper teeth, as in the sounds F, F, and V, V. You see? Okay, so these are sounds formed with the upper teeth and the lower lip. You know, the initial sounds of the word, the words fat and vat, and the final sounds of save and save are labiodentals. No? Symbols are F and V. So the final sound in the words cough and the initial sound in photo. No? Despite the spelling differences, are both pronounced as. Okay, so let's proceed to dental and interdental. So the tip of blade of the tongue approaches or touches the upper teeth, as in the sounds of O, O. These sounds are formed with the tongue tip behind the upper teeth. So the tip of your tongue will be behind your upper teeth. Here. So the initial sound of thin, thin, and the final sound of bath, bath. So those are both dentals. So the symbols used for these sounds are 0, O, the, there, then, and thus. So those are the examples of dental sounds. Next is the alveolar. So the tongue tip, so the tip of your tongue, so approaches or touches the alveolar ridge. The ridge immediately behind the upper teeth, as in the sounds of Okay, so next is the palatal. So the palatal is the body of the tongue approaches or touches the hard palate, as in letter J, J. And the tongue body approaches the hard palate but closely enough to create turbulence in the airstream. So sounds produced with the tongue and the palate are called palatals. Palatals. So the initial sounds in the words shout, shout, and child, child. So the word shoe brush begins and ends with a palatal sound, and the word church begins and ends with a palatal sound. Velar, velar. So the body of the tongue approaches or touches the soft palate of velum. So as in letter Okay, those are the example of velar sounds. Sounds produced with the back of tongues against the velum are called velars, no? Represented by the symbols K, G, and N. So, example is kid, kill, go, gun, give, sing, ringing. Also, the initial sound in the car and cold. No? Despite the variety in the spelling, so this K sound is both the initial and final sound in the word cook, kick, and go. Okay, so next is the glottal. No? So the glottis is the opening between the vocal folds. So in an itch, this opening is narrow enough to create some turbulence in the airstream flowing past the vocal folds. There is one sound that is produced without the active use of the tongue. So in other parts of the mouth. So it is the sound no? Which occurs at the beginning of hub, hub, and house, house. So when the glottis is open and there is no manipulation of the air passing out of mouth, so the sound produced is that represented by edge or
Okay, for the manner of articulation, there are two uses on how we pronounce the letter. First is we're going to use the oral, and second is the nasal. For the manner of articulation, it describes how the tongue, lips, jaw, and other speech organs are involved in making a sound. For example, the letter T and letter S are both voiceless and alveolar sounds. Like the letter T, it sounds like T, T, and letter S sounds like S, S. They differ in their manner of articulation. That is in the way they are pronounced. The letter T or sounds like T sounds is the one set of the sounds called stops, and the letter S or sounds like S, S sounds is one of the set called fricatives. Okay, for the manner of articulation is the first is the plosives or the think explosion or stops. For the bilabial, letter P and letter B, it sounds like P sounds like P, and letter B, B. Alveolar, letter T and letter D. T sounds like T, T. Letter D sounds like D, D. And for the velar, it sounds like the letter K and letter G sounds like K, K. And letter G sounds like G, G. Okay, for the word stops, this type of consonant sound resulting from the blocking or stopping effect on the air stream. It is called stop. They are produced by some form of stopping of the airstream, letting it go abruptly. The sets of stops are the following letters, like letter P, B, T, D, K, and G. For P, sounds like P, P. For letter B, sounds like B, B. For T, T, T. For letter D, D, D. For letter K, K, K. For letter G, G, G. The next is the fricatives or the think friction. For the labiodental, letter F and the letter V sounds like, for F is F, F. And letter V sounds like it's almost the same. And the alveolar sounds letter S and letter Z is letter S for S, S. Letter Z is Z, Z. For the fricatives, the manner of articulation used in producing the set of sounds like these following letters or the F and V involves almost blocking the airstream and having the air pushes through a very narrow opening. As the air is pushed through, a type of friction is produced in the resulting sounds are called fricatives. If you put your open hand in front of your mouth when making these sounds, letter F and letter S in particular, or the letter F sounds like and letter S sounds like S like S, you should be able to feel the stream air being pushed out. Okay, for the nasal, the bilabial, letter M sounds like and for alveolar, N it sounds like For the nasal, when the velum is lowered and the air stream is allowed to flow out through the nose to produce the sounds are described as nasal. The words morning, nighting, and name begin and ends with nasal. Set are nasal sounds like M and N and M. M sounds like and N sounds like Okay, for the affricatives, a combination of stop and fricative, this sign seems like the voiceless post-alveolar affricate. And the second is the voice post-alveolar affricate. Affricates if you combine a brief stopping of the airstream with an obstructive release which causes some friction. These are called affricates. Occur at the beginning of the words like cheap and jeep. This is the set of affricate sound. And the approximant, articulators approach each other but do not touch, like the letter W and R and G. And D. For the approximants, they are produced with the tongue moving or gliding to or form or from a position of nearby vowel. Like example, we, wet, you, yes, lead, and read. For the lateral, also called lateral approximant air, flows over sides of the tongue, like this. For the phonetics transcription, it is a visual representation of speech sounds, and the most type of phonetic transcription uses a phonetic alphabet is the International Phonetic Alphabet. These are the examples of the International Phonetic Alphabet. As you can see, there is the plosive, nasal, trill, top of lap, fricative, lateral, and approximant. For the IPA vowels, here are the following words like pet, pat, put, but, book, mother, bin, burn, barn, born, boon, bite, boy, to, house, pour, ear, and air. For the IPA diphthongs or the diphthongo in Tagalog, for example, the words is the word face, price, choice, near, square, goat, mouth, and poor. For the IPA consonants, here are the following words: the ten, den, cat, get, fish, tie, this, set, zoo, sheep, measure, hen, church, judge, man, now, sing, let, ride, wet, and yet.
Cebuano alphabet. During the pre-Hispanic colonization, the Cebuano language had three only vowels, namely A, E, and U. With the adoption of some Spanish English and other foreign words, it expanded to the five included E and U. In current usage, there are five vowels A, E, U, U, and U along with the 15 consonants B, K, D, G, H, L, M, N, G, P, R, S, T, W, and Y. The alphabet. Graph hence A, B, K, D, E, G, H, I, L, M, and the phonetics is E, B, K, D, E, G, H, I, L, M. There are foreign words, however, that are unavoidably used in the language, especially those without appropriate translation. For this reason, foreign letters may utilize such as C, F, G, N, E, Q, B, X, and Z, but not forming integral part of the native alphabet. The organs of speech. The organs of speech in Cebuano are those tongue, glottis, palates, lip, and nose. The letter sounded through the lips are B, P, M, Ba, Pa, and Ma. The palates are L and R, La and Ra. The tongue and the palate are D, T, and N, Da, Ta, and Na. The glottis are K, G, and Y, Ka, Ga, and Ya. The teeth is S, Sa. The glottis with belong with R is H with Ha. The glottis and the nose is NG, Nga. The closed lips then open is Wa. Sounds. The vowels is pronounced with unrounded open front similar to English far. E is pronounced with unrounded open mind front similar to English red. Is pronounced with unrounded closed format with similar to English thin. Is pronounced with rounded closed mind back similar to English morning. Is pronounced with unrounded closed back similar to flu. Consonant. The second is consonant. Pattern after the Spanish prominence of a, ba, ka, da. All consonants are singly pronounced with a at the end, thus they are sounded but ba, ka, da, and etc. except ng, which pronounced as nang or ning. Diacritical mark. The Cebuano has four kinds of actual or diacritical marks. Writing and reading Cebuano shall be premised on the entire context. Owing to some technical constraints, diacritical marks may be used conditionally when writing result to confusion. Diacritical marks. Acute accent, slanted forward and placed above the vowels given the stress. The second is grab accent, slanted backward and placed above the vowels given with stress.
Batu, dapit, gubot, lumad.
The third is circumflex accent, formed like an arrowhead and placed above the vowel of the syllable given with stress.
Basa or wet.
Frontland accent or macron, used especially on exempt and accompanied words such as mala, malala, kulong, kung, kulo, ku, sulong, sung, ulo, u. Stresses. There are 5 stresses of pronunciation in the Cebuano language. The first, penultimate stress, placed on the penultimate syllable.
Example is alampat.
The second is penultimate with glottal end, placed on the penultimate syllables with glottal end.
Example is
The
bathala.
third, end stress or panumoy, placed on at the end or the last syllables of the word.
Baliko, buhis, buhok.
The fourth, end stress with glottal end, placed at the end or the last syllables with glottal end.
Ti, bugha. Fifth is
Double stress with glottal end on both syllables or the second or the third and the last syllables, placed on 2 syllables or at the second or the third syllables and the last syllables.
example is bata-bata, kipi-kipi, lata-lata, mumu, pipi, susu, aluto, tiki-tiki. Let us remember that English is not a very phonetic, and as a result, the same letters are often pronounced in many different ways in different words. The IPA helps by providing a way to write a words as they are pronounced. The normal alphabet only has 26 characters, but there are 44 different sounds that are used to pronounce words. So that will be all. Thank you for watching.